Natasha Guynes from her Resiliency Center, an amazing charity, an amazing organization helping women in the Baltimore and D.C. community. And this is not something that you just pulled out of the air. This is something you've lived.
Yes. 10 years ago, I had been on Capitol Hill working for a number of United States senators and had felt like I was making my way in a career in politics that I'd wanted. And then one day I woke up and I said, it's time for me to help other women. And so I started a journey to create her Resiliency Center, a survivor-led nonprofit that supports vulnerable young women 18 to 25 to achieve their goals and self-sufficiency. This came out of my own lived experience as a young woman, grew up in poverty with a drug addict father who beat us, teenage mom who left us. And while our stories at her are never the same, it's the elements that we identify in on and what can cause maybe not so positive trajectories. Trauma on the developing brain causes defiance. And because of the poverty we lived in, no one really wanted to ask the hard questions about what was going on. And that defiance, comes in many different forms for me. I told my parents at 20, I was moving to Washington, D.C. They said, never call us again. There was a lot of hardship in between childhood and 20. And I took it to heart. And much like the women we serve, who maybe there are 5 of them living in a 1-bedroom apartment, sleeping on the floor. Maybe she can sleep there that night. Maybe she's not. And she's paying rent. And it's like, what can you do for me that I'm not doing for myself? And so I ended up selling my body as a way to make money. I picked up crack and whiskey as a way to cope. And within a year, I was living in a homeless shelter. And I kept falling further and further through the cracks before someone said, now we'll help you. Now we'll save you. Well, the thing is, at her Resiliency Center, we don't save the women we serve. We help them gain the tools so they can save themselves. And for me, fortunately, I got clean in the program of Alcoholics Anonymous 23 years ago. I was 21 years old, and my community raised me. Because of them, I'm one of 2 people in my family to go to college, serve in AmeriCorps, went to work for the former Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid and some other senators before I took my little bit of money, my reputation, all my contacts to leverage it to start her Resiliency Center. And it is very near and dear to my heart. And watching the women grow, I continue to grow. Watching their experiences says that we're on the right track as they're starting to gain hope and their lives are changing. Watching them get clean or watching them get a job and get their kids back. And now with the Triple Crown Academy, not just a job, a career path, and one that they can feel confident in.
Give us a Cliff's Notes version, a 10,000-foot view of what her Resiliency Center is and what it does.
Her Resiliency Center serves vulnerable young women, 18 to 25, to achieve their own goals and independence. They have been marginalized in a lot of ways, and we want to help them become self-sufficient community members that are not only on a thriving path, but also giving back to the community.
And that's an awesome goal and a lofty goal at that. So I imagine that there's a lot that goes into doing this. I imagine you need a lot of help with this. And what are some of the best ways the listeners of 100.7 The Bay can find out more and can help?
More information can be found at herresiliency.org about all of our programs and a little bit more in depth about our approach, our trauma-informed approach, as well as a person-centered approach to engaging the women we serve. Her Resiliency Center is survivor-led, and so you'll see some of that on the website as well.
Which is a very cool aspect of what you're doing there. And it happens in some other types of recovery programs and charities, too, people who have benefited from the program, who have been through the program, return to help the program and help people who, like them, need the help.
Watching someone else who has gone through something similar gives hope. And it also, the person who's been through it offers credibility that it's possible.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's like you have a instant before and after photo right away of, look, I've been where you are. I understand where you are. And now you can see where I am, and I can help you get to where I am.
We have a program called the Roadmap to Success, which are literally the steps that help me become a self-sufficient, independent adult. And it's from just like the basics of stabilization, which aren't so basic,
Right, sure.
Stabilization, and to volunteerism, because we get exposed to a lot of different opportunities, and engaging with a mentor, because the mentors are about sharing a different way of life.
And stabilization, that is the key to the whole thing. I mean, not to take you back to your high school days of science or whatever, but there was what's it called, the hierarchy of needs, and you have to have stabilization. You have to have shelter. You have to have food security to even reach any level of self-awareness. And there are a lot of people out there who aren't sure where they're going to sleep every night, aren't sure where their next meal is coming from, and therefore it's hard for them to get out of the ruts they may have created in their lives.
We have a program called the Triple Crown Academy. It's an 18-month workforce development program. And in our first cohort that we launched last year, a young woman said to me, I'm tired of having to sell my body to pay my rent, and that's why I'm behind on my rent. And these are real basic needs of stabilization as a place to live, not having to live in survival. And so one of the things that we were able to do is help her get caught up on her rent so that she could focus on her education as part of the Triple Crown Academy and going to work so that she could, again, be independent, but also be a taxpayer that helps supports give back to the community in that way.
And it seems like the care that you guys give, the mentorship, is really one-on-one. It seems like you really engage with the people who are in the programs.
I like to call us more of a boutique service agency than a social service agency, really focus on the needs of the woman in front of us. What does she need? And we like to engage with her like we would want to have, what we would want to do for our mom, our sister, our cousin, our best girlfriend, because we know that there's a thriving future ahead of her. And if she gets those same opportunities we'd want for ourselves and others, she can surpass most of us at her Resiliency Center who are showing up as guides, who are staff.
And if you have a family member, a friend, even a colleague at work that you see is struggling, how does somebody verify? Like, it's hard for me to say, I see this person, they need your help. How do I get you in touch with them?
Someone can call her line. It's 1-844-4HER-NOW. That's 1-844-443-7669. They can also always go through the website if that feels too daunting. And that is, again, herresiliency.org. We also, if it's an organization making the referral, we're always happy to make that first call. Knowing, my time in recovery, when I first got clean at 23 years ago, at 21 years old, I learned about the 10,000-pound telephone. Making a change is really difficult, and picking up that phone is scary. So if we need to make that first outreach call, we will absolutely do that.
And that can be the first step because a lot of people don't know how to start. They don't know. They have identified that this person has an issue, and they don't know where to go for help, who to ask or whatever. And the fact that you guys offer that service, that can change a lot of people's lives.
It makes it easier to ask for help. So 100% of the women we serve have experienced complex trauma. The more specific backgrounds are aging out foster care, no supports, experiencing homelessness, young moms, women who've been sexually exploited either through sex trafficking or survival-based sex work, domestic violence. And when you've experienced such victimization or trauma, it's hard to ask for help.
Sure.
You don't know who's going to say yes. And then when they say no, that rejection, that feeling of shame, the shame cycles that come. And so many don't. And so we're trying to help her get comfortable with us so that she will ask, recognizing that we have to carry 75% of the relationship at first until she starts to recognize that we are here for her.
Yeah, because you're talking about a vulnerable selection of the population as it is. They've already learned to not trust organizations, to not trust people. And here you come in, you're asking directly for them to trust that you're going to help. And what makes you different from everybody else, according to them? I mean, I know what it is, but it's really got to be hard to get over that hump to get them to trust that you are there for them and not trying to be another person in a long line of people who are taking advantage of them.
10 years ago, May 2015 is when I started the organization. So this year we're going to recognize 10 years of continuous operations and serving vulnerable young women in between DC and Baltimore. We originally started in DC. I'm sharing this because when I was creating the model, I had to think, how many buses would I have taken at 21 years old when my life was starting to turn around, before I was like, these people aren't going to help me, I'm not going to go. And it's for that reason her Resiliency Center travels to the community to meet the women we serve on their terms in their neighborhoods. So also to help remove any power dynamic. They're already in an environment that they're comfortable with, while we're trying to encourage them to leave that environment, because part of change is changing people, places, and things.
That's an awesome aspect of what you guys do. Her Resiliency Center is the name of the charity. And as you just said, it is important for our listeners to know, I think, that this is a local charity. I mean, 45 minutes to our south is Washington, D.C. We are here in Baltimore, and that is the communities that you serve. So when you're donating to Her Resiliency Center, you are making an impact where we live, where you can hear the Bay. This is where this change is happening. There is there's nothing fun about what goes on that you're trying to treat here, but there is a fun event to help raise funds for Her Resiliency Center, and you guys have an awesome one coming up June 5th. Framing Success. It is at Top Golf right down there by the stadiums in Baltimore. And tell us a little bit more about how this event came to be and what's involved.
We are doing 3 events this year. One was in April. Top Golf is the Framing Success, the second event. And then we're going to have one in the fall to close out the ceremonial aspect of the year. And with Top Golf, we decided that we were going to rent a floor. And so it'll be specific to Her Resiliency Center. It will a ticket of $175 will cover food, alcoholic beverage, and your bay. So we hope that you'd come out and network with the community, build community like we ask the women we serve to do, meet new people, enjoy and support an organization that's doing really good work.
The cool thing about events like this is you get to have a good time and you get to help a great cause all at the same time. And we definitely want to invite our listeners for information about the Top Golf fundraising event on June 5th. Where do we go?
Top Golf, June 5th, 3 to 6 p.m. is the event. You can get your tickets at herresiliency.org under events. We are, in addition to still trying to sell some tickets and get new people involved, we're also still are looking for partners who want to be sponsors of the event. Some of our sponsors include Home Depot already, Milwaukee Tools, Eastern Atlantic States Regional Council of Carpenters, Wolf Cohen Tax Services. So it varies in who is sponsoring the event, but we would love to have your support. And I would love the opportunity to talk to you about the different levels of support and what comes with it.
Sure. If you're an organization out there and you're hearing what we're talking about and it strikes a chord with you and you want to help, what a great opportunity to be able to reach out and support such an amazing local organization. I got it right here. Tickets at herresiliencycenter.org/topgolf. I got it right in front of me. Isn't that great? And yes, so the sponsorships are available. And tell me a little bit about when we met earlier, there was an explanation of a program where you're doing apprenticeships to help these women get back into the workforce and to really gain skills they can use the rest of their lives.
Yes. So the program that engages the apprenticeship opportunities is our Triple Crown Academy. It's an 18-month workforce development program. The first 8 weeks is a pre-apprenticeship program where we have partnered with 10 local labor unions that after the second class of the pre-apprenticeship, they go to work with the unions. And what this does is it allows her to earn a union wage, it allows her to learn who the players are, make her a better candidate to be an apprentice in one of their programs. The remaining 16 months is the soft skills, getting and keeping a job. It's one thing for her to get that job. It's another for her to sustain the everyday mundane nature of getting up and going to work, being on time. Part of that is the branding. How does she want the world to see her? How does she want her employer to see her? And technology, because while we want her to be prepared to go out into the field now in a union or a labor aspect, we want her to be able to grow in her career where maybe she has a desk job helping other women go out into the field. Hopefully in the summer, we'll also be able to launch the housing component of the Triple Crown Academy, which allows us to be able to really provide community around those in the program and help her be able to be more successful.
I mean, it's absolutely amazing, the level of service that you provide to the people who make their way into the program, who get over that hump and finally, take a big step towards change. And that sounds absolutely awesome, the Triple Crown Academy. And all the more reason why we need to support Her Resiliency Center. Donations online at herresiliencies.org. And, of course, buying tickets to the Top Golf event June 5th, Framing Success, 3 to 6 p.m. at the Top Golf in Baltimore. herresiliency.org/topgolf for tickets. And it's open to everybody, right? If you're not, I'm not a good golfer, but I'm really good at eating food and having a beer. So I'm more than happy to be out there. I can swing a stick. Y'all can laugh at me, but we'll have an absolute good time together. I'm looking forward to the event. And if they want to help sponsor the event, of course, herresiliencycenter.org. Also, sponsorship still available. Is there anything else you need from us here at 100.7 The Bay, the listeners of The Bay, that need to know about what you guys have going on?
We just want to say we thank all of the community that has already supported us. Look forward to getting more community members involved in the work we do and really understanding the grassroots approach of our work that really changes the lives and the trajectory of the lives of the women we serve and their families.
Your story is absolutely amazing, and thank you for sharing that for us today. And the fact that you were able to use the cliche, pull yourself up by your bootstraps and get into the program and get yourself clean, and that's amazing and honestly not the norm. I mean, some people really need, a lot of people, most people in fact, need that nudge, and that's what you're here to provide with Her Resiliency Center, is to give them the push, because it can be overcome. You can get out of that slump that you're in, that rut that you're in, but some people need that push, and the fact that you're here, you acknowledge it, you understand it, you've been through it yourself, you're able to provide that level of support to get them up into a system of positivity instead of in that constant cycle of the system where it really does seem like once you get into it, it's almost impossible to get out of.
That is very true. Yes. We do things different. Like, it's one thing that we do is just really understanding what her pushback is, and then deciphering like why is she pushing back on this change. You know, one woman who's one of my best street outreach associates, I helped her get clean in 2021, the fall of 2021. And I asked her, because I was engaging with her, do you want to go to treatment? And she said, no. Well, she said yes, but not till the end of the year. And she laughs and says, I heard by the end of the week. And I went and got her a bed set up at one of our partner organizations, Ashley Addiction Treatment Center. And I went looking for her, and I couldn't find her because she had been locked in the basement by a John for a week. She was stripped of her clothes, told she wasn't pretty enough for the handcuffs. And when she escaped through a mid-level window, the day she escaped and her feet hit the neighborhood where we would see her, I immediately saw her. And she got in the car, and after some back and forth and hearing her concerns, she even felt abandoned because she had called that evening from a number I didn't recognize, and I didn't know it was her. And so she was already mad at me for letting her down, and I had just met her. So that trust is so important. And so she did go to Ashley. She actually went to Ashley on a scholarship for 5 months. Then she came to work for us, and she's been with us the entire time, and she's still continuous clean time. She has her two kids back in her custody. She lives independently, and it's really beautiful to see. But she's someone who will tell you that not every organization shows up the way we do, because she had been in that system for so long. Broken furniture, broken mirrors, things like that don't create a space of empowerment. And at Her Resiliency Center, everything we do is intentional and really focus on building a place where she can find her own empowerment.
Well, it's absolutely amazing the level of care that you guys provide, and also the hope that you provide by being where these women are and showing them that there is light at the end of the tunnel. And if our 100.7 The Bay listeners want to help and they want to learn more information, I know you have herresiliency.org, but can we find you on Instagram, Facebook? Where else can we get information?
Yes, please follow us on Instagram at Her Resiliency, on Facebook at Her Resiliency Center, and on LinkedIn at Her Resiliency Center. We'd love to connect with you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Huber in the morning on 100.7